You know, it's good to know that in the Hunter x Hunter universe that the Sentai series still exists, and one of the actors in the show looks remarkably like Gon. Maybe Togashi just missed Gon and he wanted to kind of throw us a little nod, which I appreciate. But yeah, this chapter is incredibly wholesome until the final page and the promises to come of absolute darkness and the fact that we know the direction that the Phantom Troupe originally goes. But we get to see the origin of the Phantom Troupe in this chapter in a very different way than you would expect to see them. So in the last chapter, we got the beginning of the flashback, which I thought was hilarious because it started with Nobunaga going into the flashback, and then Nobunaga was not in the flashback whatsoever, but he does show up in this chapter as a kid. So I'm wondering if Togashi just forgot to draw him in the last chapter and was like, oh yeah, Nobunaga started this flashback. We got to throw him in there. I also like that all of the troop members are here minus a few. Now, I can't remember. I remember when Pakunoda died in the series, she, you know, shot the bullets into all of the original members, and there was a few that she didn't. And so Shizuku, Benolanov, and Quartopi are not here. And obviously Hisoka, because, you know, Hisoka. So I'm assuming everyone else is an original core founding member of the troupe, and this chapter would seem to imply that, along with the two characters, Sarasa and Sheila, who are nowhere to be found in the present day, and we can pretty much assume why by the end of this chapter. But the majority of this chapter is a lot of wholesome, just childhood fun, which is great. I just finished reading 20th Century Boys, and I got like that feeling of nostalgia of what it's like to be a little kid, you know, when you're 10, 11, 12 years old, before you go into puberty, and you just have that like really fun time where everything is magical and just, I don't know, you miss it, you get nostalgic for it. And so I was reading 20th Century Boys and I felt that, and I was reading this chapter and I felt that, and now I want to go watch Stand By Me and just cry. I also look at life and the ironic coincidental thing that happened here, that this chapter is full of Sentai references, which of course is the type of series that the Power Rangers adapted when it came over to the West, and we lost Jason David Frank about a week ago, who was pretty much the most popular Power Ranger. So while reading this chapter, for me, I don't know, I'm a little bit older than some people that watch my channel. You know, I'm fucking old, man. But, you know, I grew up on the Power Rangers when I was a kid. So not only did seeing them as kids enjoying Power Rangers hit for me, but also just the fact that we just lost Jason David Frank, who was like one of the main Power Rangers. It just, I don't know, man, just the timing of it and the chapter, and while reading it, I really felt some type of way about it. I felt this nostalgic kind of emptiness, and I don't know if that was the intent of the chapter. I think it's just because of modern day circumstances. It has nothing to do with Hunter x Hunter. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but I just felt that when I watched it. I just remembered watching Power Rangers as a kid and getting excited about it, and you know, rest in peace, Jason David Frank. That's what I'm going to say. But beyond that, in the chapter itself, it's very simplistic. This chapter there's not a whole lot to dissect here, but what it does show is this camaraderie within the people of Meteor City, because as we talked about in the last chapter, it seemed like it's a pretty much fend for yourself, you know, it's a dark, chaotic kind of place to live. You have no riches, you have no family ties, you have no lineage, you have no namesake, you have nothing essentially. And it seems like it's a very kill or be killed world, but at the same time, the people that grow up here together, there is this sort of unity that in a way is way stronger than it would be if you lived in a busy city, or if you lived in a place with more community or a regular society. I think because they're stripped away from everything, and because they grow up in this low status, you know, kind of poverty centric area of the world, I think that they grow this tighter attachment to one another, because they realize like, hey, I'm just someone trying to survive, you're just someone trying to survive, and we have that kind of interconnection. Doesn't even mean that we're friends, but just we have an understanding for how each other live that nobody else in the world is going to understand. And so there's this connection there. And I feel like that's the way it is, even with all of these kids, with everyone that comes to see the Sentai episode that they dubbed, is that they might not even like each other, but they love each other, if that makes sense. And then you have this moment where the episode, something screws up with the tape, and then Chrollo takes the stage as a kid and starts acting out the rest of the episode. and he's doing different voices for different characters, and everyone's surprised that he plays so many different characters and he can play so many different roles. And I think that this directly ties into Chrollo's Nen ability, where he's able to take other people's abilities and use them for himself. It's like he's able to play the character of someone else. Though he's not playing their personality, he's not acting like the person. He doesn't need to act like them to use their ability, but just sort of the symbolism of taking other things and then using them for your own. Just like taking the episode and dubbing it, basically taking something that exists and then turning it into something of his own, or taking on the traits of the characters and then acting them out in his own way. I think it just kind of all coalesces into what Chrollo's Nen ability eventually is, which is taking something else that exists and then using it his way, you know, manipulating it his way, creating his own reality, which is kind of like what he does, and it's what draws the other characters into him, and you know, he kind of naturally becomes a leader. He becomes naturally the showrunner, right? So he does this and everyone loves it, and then Uvogin, you know, was going to kick his ass after the play, but then kind of, you know, is impressed and says, hey, in the next episode I want to play the bad guy. I want to be the best bad guy, you know, which sorry Uvo, you're not even like top 5 in Hunter x Hunter, but you're still pretty cool, and I love you, man. But it fits in. Like, everything fits. So Chrollo is sort of the guy that guides them, that looks in the future episodes and sees what they should do. The other characters act. Uvogin falls into the role as the villain perfectly, and everything just kind of falls into place. So I like that it's not Chrollo saying, hey, I am the leader, you guys do this. It's just everyone kind of naturally falls into their roles, which I think that when you get to the more kind of primal nature of life, where a place like Meteor City would be, where there's really no law, order, or structure, everything kind of falls into place just the way it should be, and there's not really much argument about it. They even come up with the beginning of their name for this, so they're calling themselves a troupe. Like, we are a troupe. We don't have the name Phantom yet, we don't have spiders yet, but we have the name Troupe, which is coming into being. And, you know, you got to think about how the troupe has always acted, too, and the fact that they are sort of like performers in a way. You know, and they are people that just manipulate what is happening in the world in order to kind of go along with what they're trying to accomplish. And they're not afraid of that either. I feel like, again, being born in Meteor City, you just have this sort of inherent confidence that doesn't come with other parts of the world within the universe of Hunter x Hunter. Like, in the beginning of the last chapter, where we saw Finks, Phaeton, and Nobunaga just walk right up to the door, like, just pull right up, don't even care if there's a trap, don't even care if they're going to attempt something. It's just, they have such faith in their ability to work together. They have such faith in their Nen abilities to begin with, and just, they have really nothing to fear, because what could be worse than what they've already experienced, you know? It's like they have enough back catalog of horrible things that have happened that it's just like, this is whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll fix it. Now, I'm also wondering how the characters do eventually learn Nen. And there was something that a subscriber of mine reminded me of, that during the fight between Chrollo and Hisoka, he mentions that he got the Sun Moon ability from somebody in Meteor City, which could be one of the elders, which could be somebody that teaches them Nen. I also, because they're all together and they're all creating the troupe right now, believe that when they do learn Nen, I think they're all going to learn it together, which, again, will further the bond between them. Because it's not like they all learn Nen separately. I think that because they're already all together, they're already within the group, it might be this elder that teaches them that, and it might be the elder that has the Sun and Moon that might be able to use that to help them out of what happens here. Then we have the final page of this manga, and the final page is the only page where it gets dark. Everything else is kind of fun. Everything else is children just being children. And in the final page, we get reminded that there are some people in Meteor City right now that are abducting people. They have 3 captured already in their van, and now they're looking for more. But the thing is, we can assume that they're from a Mafia group, which, again, will begin that resentment that the Phantom Troupe have for the Mafia groups themselves. But also the scary fact that they're saying they already met their quota of people to capture, but they want to capture another one just for the fun of it. And that's just dark as hell when you think of human trafficking and the fact that that's a real thing that happens, and the fact that this young girl, Sarasa, is going off on her own in the same direction that these people are heading. Sarasa, of course, obviously is not a member of the Phantom Troupe when we meet them, so her fate is probably sealed, and it probably leads into the beginning of the true Phantom Troupe that we know. There's a lot of transition that needs to happen still, but I think a catalyst for that happening could be the loss of this girl. There's also Sheila, who is in the Kurapika backstory, the one-shot that came out. We talked about that last time, so no telling what's going to happen to her. I'm assuming this all takes place before she met Kurapika, and she might not even be an actual member of the troupe. She might actually leave, or something else might happen. There's a lot of different directions that it could go. The only issue is, there is a lot of directions it could go. I don't know how long this backstory is going to be. We might only be getting about 4 more chapters, because Togashi, at the beginning of the Return of Hunter x Hunter, said he was going to do at least 10 chapters. So we've got about 4 more to go. I don't know how much longer this backstory is going to last. And this is taking us completely out of the actual, I mean, it's going to play into the storyline, don't get me wrong. But we still have so much other things happening at the moment on the ship. So I'm just kind of getting nervous about the expansion of the story, getting hyped about it, and then being brought back into a very long hiatus, which I understand, and I don't hold it against Togashi whatsoever. I understand his health issues. If he gave up Hunter x Hunter entirely, I would understand simply because of that. But it's just that, okay, I could see us maybe getting 1 or 2 more Phantom Troupe backstory, but then as soon as we get back into the Succession War, we're going to be in a hiatus. So it's like, I don't know how to feel about it. I'm happy, but I'm not. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this chapter down below, and let me know what direction that you think it's going to go. Thank you guys, as always, for watching my reviews. It really does mean a lot to me. I am still trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I don't think I'm going to hit it. But if you wanted to help me get there, I would really, really deeply appreciate it if you just hit the subscribe button, gave it a thumbs up. I review a lot of manga, anime, movies, other stuff, live streams. I do skits and stuff. So, I do a whole bunch of stuff on this channel. So, maybe if you're interested in the Hunter x Hunter reviews, maybe you'd be interested in the Vinland Saga reviews. Maybe you'd be interested in my review of 20th Century Boys that I just did, or anything like that. So, I'd appreciate it if you wanted to help me out. But beyond that, let me know what you think of the chapter, guys. Appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.